Hello, beauties. Welcome to Lighthouse Effects through Spirituality Gone Wild. I'm here in the remarkable studio of Silver Birch Studios here in Fort Wayne, Indiana. So grateful for the crew who are here to help out this evening. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. And if you're joining us tonight, we specifically kind of host the area around musicians, helping musicians to get the resources that they need so that they can come from a place of overflow instead of like, completely drained, which if you've been a touring musician, you're going to bed at 3 o'clock in the morning, you're waking up at 7 o'clock in the morning to get back out on the road. Hasn't happened much this past year, but going back into it so often in my experience of being a musician, completely drained by the end of it, which leads people into kind of this place of isolation. And sometimes it's you, and sometimes it's your fans, and your fans can be anybody. So in this space, in this like, where are we? You know, it's coming home, and it's starting to recognize what can we do as musicians and as producers and as a community of people in order to build a campus and in order to build and create a stronghold in communities so that we're overflowing with resources and helping one another in our communities. That's what I do with Lighthouse Effects. I bring in all of the neuroscience and the research and the emotional health, emotional hygiene components so that instead of being like, oh my gosh, and just, crying all the time, like, another song. Instead of that, you can lead a remarkable life and you can have an epic impact. So one of the featured pieces today is this piece, which I'm really excited about. We're going to talk a bit about love today. We're going to talk about equanimity today, how you're showing up in life, and how you allow people to meet you there with getting your precious needs met. And through Spirituality Gone Wild, I do have a course that's available. It's called Emotional Hygiene. It features me on the back of a toilet. Well, on the front of a toilet, not the back of a toilet. On the front of a toilet. And I just kind of join you in the mornings because, people are just kind of basically getting themselves put together. And I sit with you, in that, like, you can have me on your phone. I don't have to see anything. I'm there on your phone and I'm just having a conversation with you about the basic principles of emotions, where they come from, what's going on, so that when your partner asks you, hey, how you doing? You can answer with a genuine connectedness. And then you could know how to better navigate what's going on. So that instead of being like, meh, and pushing people out the door and always getting in fights, instead you can kind of like, wow, how am I? What are my emotions here? What is going on with me? And it helps you to get into those deeper places. And then you're going to be like a kick-ass ninja person when it comes to relationships. Because the longer and the more people that we have to practice this with, the easier it becomes to have these deep integrated conversations that help to build our integrity. Okay, so today we're featuring love. I have musicians come in and we talk about, like, the musician kind of comes into the studio here and they talk about, I sit with them and then I'm like, what is it that you would really like to get across to your fans? Because oftentimes your fans are in some form of isolation, right? So you might be the only person reaching them at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning when they're like, oh my gosh, my partner just left me and life is falling apart. Right? The same place where, like, often you write songs from. Sometimes you're in a vibrant place. But you might be the only person that is really deeply connecting to your fan. Like, your fan may be like, I'm never going to a therapist, ever. It's not going to happen. Or they know that they need help, but they don't have any way to be able to get the resources that they need. So your one song might touch them like nobody else touches them. And so what I do is I sit with entertainers, I sit with musicians, and we kind of map out, like, what is your one song that you would really like to focus on? And then from there, we take that and we go out, and I have a group of therapists who are trained professionals who work with your clientele, like your fans, in the community that you want to serve. Let's say it's the veterans, or let's say it's ages 13 to 24-year-olds, or let's say it's women's shelters. And through that, they start to learn some tools. We do a 4-hour workshop or a play shop, and they learn these tools of emotional health. And it's just small little doses that they can add in to their everyday lives. And then we create these beautiful pieces of art. And then those pieces of artwork go up on display at the concerts, or here during times of quarantine, or times where maybe your fans can't come in from all over the world. We put it up in the art gallery out in the forest. So that's kind of how we're helping to shape and shift communities. And we're always looking for musicians who are wanting to come in and build community with us, and kind of reimagine what the entertainment business can look like and what the music business can look like, where we're actually here to serve each other. So that's what this whole thing is all about. Tonight and every Sunday evening that I'm joining you, we're getting prepared to have our own television channel here pretty soon. So this is going to be one of the platforms that carries us, but more often you're going to find us on a cable network show. And we're just kind of getting dialed in for that right now. So thanks so much for joining us this evening. I generally like to drop in with some songs that I grew up with, and I just talk about the lyrics and then how that applies to everyday life, or maybe like every month life or once a year life. So there happens to be a lot happening energetically on the planet right now, right? A lot of like... Some people are completely jarred by it. Other people are like eating popcorn, they're like, what's happening? What's happening? And then other people are completely relaxed and they're like, whatever, we're just going to go with the flow. Who knows what's going to happen? And how is it that we can drop back in to humanity? So I'm just going to slow down for a moment, take a breath, because sometimes I talk really fast. It's the Chicago in me. Generations worth of Chicago right there. A lot to say. My partner is always like, shh, I'm right here. If you ever walked into my house when all of us are together, we're shouting at each other. That's how much we love each other. We shout continuously. You'd think we were hard of hearing, but we're not. It's just how we communicate. Who can relate? Okay, so with that, just dropping down, make sure you relax your jaw. Shake it out, shake it out. And kind of do a little bit of body movement, like what's going on? What is my emotion first? What's going on with my emotionally? Like what's my emotion? And where is it landing in my body? What's my feeling behind it? So like, coming in here like, hello. Wow, haven't felt you in a while. Getting reconnected to it. And then just checking in. Hey, do I have any needs tonight? And do I need to slow down and get some oxygen in my brain? So slowing it down for just a moment, relaxing. And then thinking about kind of getting into the stream here and welcoming. What is it that you're wanting to bring to you this week? And always post in the comment section how I can pray for you this week, because I do go back through and I look at those and then I'm like, okay, I can pray for this person. So the first question for tonight that I'd like to get through is, where do you have equanimity in your life? Where do you have equal relationships in your life? I know when I was first starting out, I grew up with a lot of the 12-step work. And around the fourth step about the inventory. And how often are we going through our lives and we're just like, chaos, 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 woo! Versus slowing down and taking a few minutes to recognize what are the relationships that are helping me to thrive in my life? Who really sees me? And who do I allow in? And most importantly, who do I allow in healthy ways during my messy periods? I remember growing up, big Catholic family, so there was a lot of martyr, right? Oh, no, you go ahead, you go do it. And I call it adding martyr sauce. It's like where you go over the top with, have you eaten today? No, I didn't need to eat today. I was stuck behind the stove all day. So there's this frenzy that I've noticed in the music business and in the entertainment business, right? There's this, I gotta get it done. There's no time to rest. And then people wonder why they're all burned out all the time. Their body's like, I can't do this anymore. Go, 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 go. Day in, day out, just that push, right? And some people really thrive on that push. But as the world has kind of gotten to this place of the big shakeup that's been happening, starting to look at what are the things that I can start to distill and filter through. And one of them I'd like to ask around is your nervous system and prioritizing your emotional health. Because as we're all imagining this great big new world that is upon us and that we're welcoming, let's let go of the frazzled and get back into this place of deep nourishment. There was this really fun quote that I was listening to last night from a movie. I'll have to get the name of the movie. But the guy talks about, like his girlfriend is standing, he's got his back to her, and his girlfriend's standing there, and she's like, I've done so much for you, and I have to leave you. And so he's like, you're right, you do have to leave me. You have to go do something else with your life. And she's like, what? I've been here for you. I've cooked you birthday cakes, blah, 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 like the martyr sauce, right? And then he turns around and he's like, you know what? You are a really good person. You're a great person. And you make me want to be a better person. But you know what? I actually don't want to be a better person. I don't. I really like me. I like me not having to be a better person. So recognize, like, who are the people in your life that are just there and they're like, right? And those people deserve to be met as well. In addition to you getting your precious needs met. And I have so many conversations with clients where people are like, but I just want the person to love me. And I'm like, well, I don't know how that's working for you. And maybe they are loving you in their very specific way. But I think the love that you're looking for, the love, right? The love that you're looking for, is it nourishing you? Where is the equanimity? Where are we coming together? And where are you really cherishing and honoring people who are telling you no? Sometimes the no's are like really abusive no's, right? Like, I can't meet you here. And they're toxic and they're wounding. And people are like, if we just bash it out emotionally, we'll figure it out eventually. But again, we're entering this new time. So as we're looking at this month and at this year ahead, what are and who are your key people around you? Are they feeding you? Are you a drain to people? Are you emotionally a drain? Are you like, I can never get enough? Nah. right? Go in and everybody's like, I can spend like 5 minutes with you because you never fill up. So operating from this place of overflow in relationships. And then the next step, of course, is how do I get to a place of overflow in relationships? Right? Because it's really easy to say, but when you're surrounded by people that are not nourishing whatsoever, then it's more of a challenge. It's more of a like, well, how do I get to that place that you're even talking about? In the description box, I've included a list that you can click on, and that's your precious needs. So going through and start, like, print it out so that you have it, or put it on your phone, and then you can have it. And instead of being like, this is my story, and I'm always here, and nobody can ever meet me here. Instead of that, look at that list of precious needs and be like, what could I practice this week? And then you can look and start going down your list of all of the things that you can practice this week. And to be 100% accurate and truthful about it, sometimes I just want to stay in like my wounded space and blame people. That's possible. You're welcome to do that. And you're welcome to just kind of plug along and plod along and be like, it's their fault. It's their fault. They did it. Right? Just like a wounded nerve walking around, upset about everything all the time. That's possible. And you know what? Great artwork comes from that space. But if you ever want to shift and start kind of looking at other possibilities, it takes some vulnerability. It takes some leaning in. It takes getting away from the storyline, the feeding frenzy. Yeah. That could be fun. You can have a lot of energy around it, especially because, a lot of the world are like, I'm in pain too. So pain points can be where people are like, hey, I can meet you right there. I know exactly what that's all about. The antagonistic. But what's great about this entire journey is that we don't have to have it all figured out right now. It can just be messy. You can just show up and be messy. I think some of the key parts are starting to build community with integrity, with showing up in vulnerability and saying, hey, I'd really like to practice this. Do you mind if we practice this together? And then the other person can say, yeah, I'd be really great with practicing listening to your needs. And then you could go down your checklist. You're like, okay, I need this. It's like eggs, right? Or like, I need cereal this week or whatever. And it doesn't mean that that person's going to give those things to you. It doesn't mean that that person is coming from a place of overflow. But sometimes it's just good to start practicing and asking. Okay, so first one, under pressure, because that's the name of this one tonight. Oh, that's really funny. Ha, 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 ha. So Under Pressure was Freddie Mercury and David Bowie. And I love going over and reading through these lyrics because lyrics are kind of what tie us all in together. Although I know many people have no idea what they're saying in the lyrics. They kind of make up their own, like my dad. He loves to do that. And lyrics can really start to help us like get out of our mind space and into our heart space. So there might be this big pressure cooker right now on the outside world, right? The under pressure. And I like the storyline here because it talks about the outside world and then coming into the inner circle and giving love one more chance. And this time I'm talking about like a really healthy, nourishing love. But it takes a while to get there sometimes, and lots of practice, and having a vulnerable heart to do it. Just wondering if this is landing with you. If it is, please give a thumbs up or a heart. A heart, that's what that looked like. heart. Go ahead and let me know how you're doing this evening. I love reading your comments, and I'll be certain to get back to you. So here we go. Pressure pushing down on me, pushing down on you, no man ask for. Under pressure that burns a building down, splits a family in two, puts people on streets. It's the terror of knowing what this world is about, watching some good friends scream, "Let me out." Pray tomorrow gets me higher. Pressure on people, people on the streets. Chipping around, kick my brains around the floor. These are the days it never rains, but it pours. It's the terror of knowing what this world is about, watching some good friends scream, "Let me out." Pray tomorrow gets me higher, high. Pressure on people, people on the streets. Turned away from it all like a blind man. Sat on a fence, but it don't work. Keep coming up with love, but it's so slashed and torn. Why? Love, 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 love. Insanity laughs under pressure. We're breaking. Can't we give ourselves one more chance? Why can't we give love one more chance? Why can't we give love, give love, give love, give love, give love, give love? Because you're such an old-fashioned, because love's such an old-fashioned word, and it dares you to care for the people on the streets at the edge of the night, and love dares you to change your way of caring about ourselves. This is our last dance. This is ourselves under pressure. So we move from this place of, the outside world, all of the things that are happening to us, our reactions to what's happening on the outside world. And when you don't have experience and you don't know what's going on with you emotionally, you have less than a fifth of a second before the chemicals in your brain begin to shut you down, especially to keep you safe. So they create our stories create our realities. They create mighty magnificent songs, but often, so often, places us in this deep isolation, in this critical, in this So if you've been in isolation for an extensive period of time, what are the songs that call to you in that space? What are the words that speak to you the loudest? And are they truly nourishing you? Maybe they're meeting you in the pain space, but are they really nourishing you? In the darkness, oftentimes people just get stuck there and they don't move. Instead of, learning how to move and look at the shimmer, or find the shimmer in that darkness. And it takes a community, in my experience, to find other people who might be dancing in that same darkness. So I'd like to welcome you to join us more often on the Spirituality Gone Wild channel, because all of us who host these shows are all about bringing nourishment to the people so that you may indeed still be alone, but there's more people out here who are reaching out so that you're not lonely out here. I'm going to close out tonight with one more lyric. I think, was it Ozzy tonight? I don't remember if it was Ozzy. Give me 1 second. Okay, this was Pink Floyd. This is Eclipse. And again, it's talking about all of the exterior, all of the things. And even though there may be days where you're like shining super bright, the moon shows up and it can eclipse it. So with community, with reaching out, with getting involved in conversations with people, with coming in the back room, with joining up and having these like sometimes challenging conversations. Sometimes that happens. So find a community of people who are warm and welcoming and looking for win-win scenarios. I welcome that. Okay, so here's the last part. This is by Pink Floyd. The song is Eclipse. All that you touch and all that you see and all that you taste and all that you feel and all that you love and all that you hate, all you distrust, all you save, and all you give and all that you deal and all that you buy, beg, borrow, or steal. This is the totality of a human, every single part of ownership. Those weren't part of the lyrics, I just threw that in there. And all you create and all you destroy, and all that you do and all that you say, and all that you eat, and everyone you meet, and all that you slight, and all that you fight, everyone and everyone you fight, and all that is now and all that is gone and all that's to come, and everything under the sun is in tune. But the sun is eclipsed by the moon. So getting a team together, looking at your darkness, looking at your shadows, looking at your emotional health to help bring stabilization back to the planet. Perhaps it wasn't about the people that we put on pedestals. Perhaps it's not about governments. It might be about you and I and what we're doing in order to bring stabilization and equanimity back to humanity. And as musicians, we get to carry the vibration worldwide. We get to reach people like nobody else gets to reach them. And if you're a fan, thank you so much for the time that you spend listening to the music. And may it nourish you this week. I'm Radiance, joining you here at Silver Birch Studios. Looking forward to seeing you again next week. If you have any questions or comments, please put them in the comments section. And I'd like to thank Spirituality Gone Wild. So grateful to be part of that wonderful team. Please join us every single day, at least 2 times a day. There are wonderful things happening on the Spirituality Gone Wild channel. And I'd like to thank my staff here at Silver Birch Studios. And I wish you a very, very wonderful, gorgeous week ahead. No matter what might be turbulent in life, grounding in and recognizing how truly spectacular you are. So grateful to be here with you. Take care. Good?
I'm clear. Are we good, Jesus? I'm clear.